Hey, what's up? Hello. I'm here just talking about this video that went viral this week. I think that was the purpose of this video, to go viral. Like, for this woman to get her 15 minutes of fame. Wouldn't be surprised if she uses the clout from this video going viral to maybe run for local office or some shit. But it's this woman who's from Carmel, New York. This is the title of the video. Mom in Carmel, New York fights back against teaching critical race theory as board tries to tone police her. This video is a perfect example of projection. This woman talks over and over again about her fear of children being indoctrinated at school, indoctrinated into critical race theory and hating the police and all of this stuff. Anyways, like the people who are against critical race theory 11 times out of 10 have no fucking idea what critical race theory is about. Not that I'm some expert. They seem to think that the purpose of education is to make students proud to be American, proud of their country, not to learn stuff. Like the idea that systemic racism exists makes their heads explode. It makes them unable to function. Her talking again and again about indoctrination, I couldn't help but see the irony in that, because so much of American education is indoctrination, especially American history. Basically, the purpose of K through 6 history, even K through 12 history, is teaching kids about how special America is, what a great country this is, our freedoms, and all of that stuff. And it kind of glosses over a lot of the contradictions in America. You know, the founding fathers built this nation to be more free while owning slaves, and they kind of gloss over it and focus on things like they'll either ignore the slave owning part of the founding of our nation and then just skip to the Emancipation Proclamation. So it's basically like, yeah, we did these terrible things, but we got better. We're just building a more perfect nation. So, we went from slavery to not slavery, even though we really didn't, because you just used prison labor as slavery, or they used sharecropping, which is basically slavery. Or we talk about the civil rights movement, but gloss over all of the ugly, horrible things that led for a civil rights movement needing to happen. Because if we talk about the unsavory parts of American history, the people in power fear that the American populace will grow up being not necessarily ashamed of their country, but resentful of it. This whole backlash to critical race theory isn't just about not wanting white people or white children to feel bad about being white. It's about shielding them from the tools to be critical of the society they live in, of the country they live in, of themselves. And women like this is what happens when we teach history like that. Like I said, I saw the irony in all of this, and I posted a comment saying, when has public education ever not been indoctrination? Half the people watching probably still think George Washington chopped down a cherry tree. See, that's another thing that I was talking about with indoctrination. Like, teachers will outright lie to students about history, about things that are stupid. Like, this makes no sense. It's not education. This is myth building. America has turned the founding fathers into gods almost. And that's one of the more innocuous lies, though I don't know how innocuous it is to actually paint this picture of someone who owned slaves and moved back and forth between Pennsylvania and Virginia to keep those enslaved people, from gaining their freedom, as someone who is morally upright. Like, maybe that's not so innocuous. There are other lies we are told growing up in an American school system. Like, the first Thanksgiving, the Native Americans and the Pilgrims, they ate together and they got along, and nothing bad happened afterwards. Or maybe that slavery wasn't that bad. Some masters were even really nice to their slaves. Like, that was in textbooks. And I believe, I don't know, I can't remember if it was North Carolina or South Carolina, but children were being taught that most slave owners were nice to their slaves, that there was a nice way to deprive someone of bodily autonomy, of freedom. That is, there's a nice way to own somebody's life. Personal story, I went to school in Queens, New York, and my sixth grade teacher said to this class full of mostly black students, almost entirely black students, that most slave owners were nice to their slaves. And this was in, I want to say 2004. So this type of indoctrination has probably not died out yet, if I'm experiencing it. Most of the people in this comment section agrees with this woman. I've not seen a single dissenting voice in that comment section. So they say, right, and probably believe the Democratic Party were the Confederates that wanted slavery, and also think that the first legal slave owner was white. Like, what is this obsession? Who cares who the first legal slave owner was? That doesn't change the fact that race was created by Europeans to justify the enslavement of Africans. Like, before it was religion, but when Africans started converting to Christianity, they couldn't use that excuse anymore. So they had to come up with this lie that we are biologically different from them and therefore not fit to be free, even though there were plenty of free and enslaved Black people that contradicted this. So I said to him, thanks for proving my point. To think that Americans were the first to realize slavery was bad. LMFAO. Then this person goes claiming that America is the first country to abolish slavery, which is a lie. It's just a lie. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that unless they've been terribly, terribly indoctrinated. It just goes against the most basic understanding of history. So they say Ohio abolished slavery in 1802 before Denmark and Norway did in 1803, and then New Jersey and Haiti did in 1804. So he just named 3 fucking countries that abolished slavery before America. Ohio is not America. Ohio is a state. States are not countries. I don't know who needs to be taught that, but just in case, states are not countries. The amount of mental gymnastics you have to do to make that lie even seem plausible, it's just, it's something. But not only is Ohio not representative of the entire country, all of the so-called free states still benefited from slavery. The New York Stock Exchange benefited from slavery. There were insurance companies, like in New York, that had policies on enslaved people. Like, they financially benefited from slavery. And that's not just the wealthiest people. Every white person benefited from slavery, whether they owned slaves or not. Where do you think the cotton and the clothes they wore came from? Where do you think the rice that they ate came from? The tobacco that they smoked? They all benefited from slavery. That doesn't mean that their lives were good. It just means they benefited from slavery. Then they make the claim that only 3% of white people owned slaves. Who gives a fuck? Why do they never say how many Black people were enslaved? I'm sure it wasn't 3%. I'm sure the vast majority of Black people living in America were enslaved. But that just goes to show you who they empathize with, who they see themselves as. They see themselves as the slave owners or the poor aspiring slave owners, not even like the abolitionists. Like, they see themselves, when they look into the past, they identify with the slave owners. They identify with the poor whites who couldn't afford to own slaves and still benefited from slavery even still. They do not empathize with the people brutalized, exploited, killed, raped under the system of chattel slavery. They do not empathize with Black people. They do not see Black people as human in the same way that they see themselves as human. That's what this all boils down to. And this is what the American school system wants to maintain. ignorance and blind allegiance to uphold white supremacy, to uphold capitalism, to uphold patriarchy, and all of these other abusive, exploitative systems. Our education system is where it all starts. That's it for today. Like, comment, subscribe, watch my other videos, especially my more recent ones. That's it. That's all. Bye.